So, WTB. Bleh. Welcome to the Charlotte Buzz, where we drink beer from local breweries while telling stories about the neighborhoods they're from. I'm Chrissy, and this is Dru.
Today, we are drinking CLT from Catawba Brewing in Plaza Midwood.
Let's see if pouring a half growler, or even opening a half growler for that matter, is something, oh goodness, in my sphere of capability. Clearly opening it is not. Goodness. Really, though.
So, CLT is an IPA.
Got it. It had leaked, so it was real sticky.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Proceed.
7.2%.
Yes, we are back into the IPA land, so I am a happy camper.
Hopefully she can pour it without
Hey,
getting it all over the table.
Half growler, man. This is apparently my specialty. Look at that gorgeous pour. That's a beer.
So they brewed this IPA in honor of their Charlotte tap room.
Ew.
Loads of ripe tropical and stone fruit notes with copious amounts of Simcoe, Citra, Amarillo, and Centennial hops.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And we have learned since our first podcast that citrus and tropical are in fact two different things.
yes.
Whatever.
I knew that already, but
I mean, whatever.
Did you try it yet?
Well, full disclosures, I mean, I do already enjoy the spirits when I order if we go there, but as of this exact moment for this podcast, I have not yet. So here I go.
What you think?
That'll drink.
You need different categories.
I do. But yes, and this is an IPA, so it gets to be outside of the it'll drink and it won't drink category. But fruity, definitely taste the tropical versus the citrus now that I'm learning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I always want to say pineapple, but I want to kind of almost say a little bit of mango-y too in this one. It tastes lighter. Like I keep thinking back to the All-Star one we just did where you said it was lighter, and I think that was more based on alcohol content. But to me personally, it felt almost like a thicker, more, not quite dense, but like just a little bit thicker of a beer, where this I feel like is...
I mean, kind of how it went down. It's just like that last one was just because it wasn't an IPA, it wasn't as bitter, and it was just like a smooth.
I mean, this to me tastes like a sort of, again, not sour in a beer way, but like a sour alcoholic juice, sort of. It's kind of my super amateur opinion description. But I think I think it tastes really good. It's an IPA. It's not an overly sweet, fruity type of IPA, but the fruitier IPAs are more my jam, apparently. So,
but it's kind of like it's like your backup go-to.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. I'll take it.
If you don't see one of your favorites, but they have CLT, you get it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's definitely my go-to at Catawba. So, any other deets on that one?
Has over 10,000 ratings on Untappd.
Heyo.
Averaging out at about a 3.74 out of 5.
That's not bad.
It was named the world's best IPA at the 2017 World Beer Awards in London.
Oh, hey. London knows what's up.
Here we go, a little bit of... It's a West Coast style.
Oh. It's interesting because I think most of my favorite IPAs end up either being like a New England style or a West Coast style. Which, I mean, those are not similar at all.
No, it's because the other one was New England in the first episode.
Yeah.
The heist.
Yeah. I don't know where my taste buds came from. They don't make any sense. All right, well, you take a sip of this, and conveniently, since it was named the World's Best IPA, was that the title?
Yep.
World's Best IPA in 2017. That is actually the same year that Catawba opened its doors in Charlotte, in our Plaza Midwood neighborhood. It is actually Catawba's 4th location, so yes, the brewery does not originate from our area. It's more out towards Asheville. They've got 3 other locations before it came here, but there is an official full-on brewery in Plaza Midwood, opened in 2017. And yeah, they're brewing stuff called CLT now, so I think we're slowly converting them. So what'd you think on that flavor?
I mean, we're 3 for 3 in the it'll drink category.
I want to find something that will meet the it won't drink category just to see where that line is.
My it won't drink category, you probably will only take 1 sip of.
I mean, sure. But I just want to experience that.
Yeah.
Some sort of beer where you're just like, can't do it. That seems really hard to imagine.
They exist, though.
I mean, I believe it. It just...
Like, I think the last time we ran into that was at one of the brew fests we went to, and we were just able to try everything.
Yeah, and it's easier to say it won't drink there, too, because it's like, dump
True.
the, like, sip in your cup and carry on.
I mean, I still finish them.
I try. I just can't hold nearly as much in my tolerance levels as you can. But, all right, so here we are looking at Catawba and the Plaza Midwood neighborhood. So, for whatever reason, I tend to keep going back into history, but I think the greater Charlotte area is just a really cool historical place. I think there is so much rich history that on the one hand is almost like silly and old school Southern kind of country-ish vibe history, but also really is foundational to the area and the country. And I'm just really intrigued at how many things started in the Charlotte area and where so many roots of our nation come from that are so unassuming in this area. Yeah. So for me, the story I've got for us today is about WBT, Charlotte's first radio station, and one of the first, it was actually the first commercially licensed radio station south of Washington, D.C. So, and it started in Plaza Midwood.
Interesting.
Who knew? I certainly didn't. So, December of 1920.
Roaring 20s.
I mean, that's your era. That's your Gatsby time.
Yep.
But.
Swing dancing. Alcohol drinking.
Flapper flapping.
Yep.
So we've got 3 gentlemen. Fred Laxton. Hopefully I'm saying these names right, but do you know that name? Is this someone?
Yeah, he's connected to my story.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Hey. So I've got Fred Laxton, Earl Gluck. Yes, that's a name. Gluck.
Okay.
Gluck. And Frank Bunker. 3 gentlemen are investors in this amateur radio station that they decided to put on in 1920. They actually set it up in Laxton's house, and the radio receiver was set up in an old chicken coop in the yard. So this is where it's that, old school.
Multi-purpose.
Yeah, that old school country kind of like almost silly sounding history, but actually becomes really foundational. And it's pretty cool. So that was in 1920. There were less than 20 commercially licensed radio stations in the entire U.S. at that time. Less than 20. And it was still a point where not every house had radios in them yet. It hadn't quite hit that peak in, I was going to say media. I guess that's appropriate.
I guess.
So by 1922, just 2 years later, they decided to go commercial, became commercially licensed as the Southern Radio Corporation, first fully licensed radio station south of D.C., and they were given the identifying letters of WBT.
Where does that come from? Who chooses that?
I really am not sure about that. I think it's something to do with like the Broadcasting Association or whatever. I think it's it's the same thing I would assume as like when people get like pilot's license and they have planes and stuff, they like name the aircraft, and it's just some systematic thing that they
just
pick it. But
seems random nomenclature.
Right. I imagine there's some rhyme and reason to it, but in essence, it's random to anybody who really cares about it, I guess. So their first... So this was still in the time when, radio was also not super popular yet, but also it was not a 24/7 type of operation.
Yeah.
So when they went fully commercially licensed, they only had 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening that they would actually broadcast their content. Obviously, as time went on, that grew and expanded, and they were able to put on significantly more programming. But that's where they started, just 4 hours a day, 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening. So 3 years later, in 1925, those gentlemen actually sell to C.C. Coddington, and this gentleman was a wealthy Buick dealership owner.
That's a name.
Yeah. C.C. Coddington. Triple C. Hey, talking about breweries.
Yeah.
So he actually sort of played on the WBT and used it as a dual advertising campaign. And I didn't actually write this down, so I'm screwing myself over. But it was something about like where Buicks travel. And so it was WBT. And so he was using it as a way to promote both the radio station and his Buick dealership. And
Smart.
I may have gotten that phrasing wrong, but
Some good
it was right around there. So we went from 1920, amateur station, 1922, going fully commercially licensed, 1925 to selling it off, 1929, C.C. Coddington then sells it to CBS.
Oh.
So we're now taking, big steps up. We go from a chicken coop to CBS in less than a decade.
Yeah.
So another 20 years later, we've now hit, full golden era of the radio. Yes, I said golden. Be excited.
That's me.
Full golden age of the radio. Every house has one, if not multiple. It goes from a big urban kind of luxury to rural. Everybody, that's what it is. The family gathering around the radio for the local programming, that whole shebang. So in that 20-year span from 1929 when CBS buys it, it actually is now in 1949 owned by a life insurance company, which seems a little strange to me, but
Okay.
You do you, I guess. And they start the local television affiliate, WBTV.
That sounds familiar.
Huh, I know, right? Strange.
It's like it's still a thing.
I know. So WBTV becomes the local affiliate, the television affiliate to this radio programming, which the WBT radio station is still currently active. It's an AM radio station. Okay. It is primarily talk news radio, but it is still 100% a thing, still going strong. First radio station in Charlotte, first radio station in North Carolina, commercially licensed.
Yeah.
And first commercially licensed radio station south of DC. So I thought that was really cool overall, but really something I thought was pretty cool that I wanted to point out is I have I call it a short list. It's actually quite a lengthy list of some of the programming that went on during those kind of early to mid historical years. And so I have a connection. So I'm just going to read this list off really quickly. So they had something called Aunt Sally, who was, because again, most of the radio started out as more of talk radio and then became more musically inclined. So Aunt Sally would read lots of stories to kids.
Okay.
And then we would have some live music performances because we still didn't have anything really recorded just yet. The station had their own 6-piece band.
Not 7 pieces?
No, just 6. Gotta go for that even half dozen.
I like that 7-piece band, though.
What's the 7th piece?
An
Cowbell?
oboe? Is that a thing?
More cowbell. All the commercials were live. Obviously, again, nothing really pre-recorded. You had radio shows like The Lone Ranger and Amos and Andy. You had poetry readings. You had church services. You had soap operas. You had barn dances. There was just so much variety in what developed from something that was only on air for 4 hours a day to suddenly it was growing.
Yeah.
And quick side note, it was actually this radio station started involving so many like grassroots country bands that historically they say if the radio station owners had put enough forethought into that Charlotte could have actually become basically Tennessee and Nashville and the whole like country music hub.
Yeah, we were first.
Because there was so much there, and there was actually more country music recorded here before Tennessee and Nashville ever really popularized. But the radio station just kept kind of progressing in different ways, and it was seen as more of a like a local workers fad as opposed to a growing community that would thrive. And so it was just kind of pushed out to the side to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And so we weren't able to have that.
It kind of started as a hobby, and everybody kind of just treated it as a hobby or a side thing, it seems like. I mean, it was owned by a Buick,
Yeah.
The Buick dealership was probably his first.
Absolutely. Moneymaker.
Yeah. And so then the insurance company.
Yeah, it's a very weird.
And also their side hustles.
Yeah. But so that's what I thought was actually one of the most interesting things is, we're looking at this list of different types of programming and how diversified it was and how this was still very cutting edge technology that this was able to come into people's homes and everything else. And we look at it now and we're like, oh, that's so outdated. Like the radio is all about music, as few commercials as we can possibly get, satellite radio, everything at all. Some have talk radio stations, but it's all personal preference. But then you also look at it and I'm like, this is basically building the foundation of podcasting.
Yeah.
All of these different things, reading stories to kids, music performances, live commercials, radio kind of shows, soap operas, poetry readings, church services, all of these things are really where we land with podcasts today.
Yeah.
And I just think it's really cool because we look at it and we're like, oh, that's so outdated. What kind of radio would have that? Historically, sure, whatever. But if you thought about that on the radio today, you'd be like, what is even happening? But on the same hand is you open up your podcasts and bam, you've got all of that plus. And I just thought that was really cool that even with technology being so vastly different and all of the things involved, I just like seeing how we had the foundation for, what we're starting right now was actually realistically brought to this area because of Plaza Midwood and some guys hanging out in a chicken coop. Yeah. And I just think that's really cool.
And back then that was all they could do.
Sure.
Now it's about efficiency.
Yeah.
And the best use of your time. So this podcast you can listen to on your way to work, while you're doing something else. You don't have to give 100% of your attention to it, but,
yeah,
it's about efficiency.
Yeah. But,
full circle.
Yeah, I like it. But that's pretty much where I've got. I just like that Plaza Midwood has given us the avenue to sit here and be talking to y'all today.
Yep.
All right, so what does our buddy Fred Laxton have to do with your story, since I didn't actually know that was going to be an overlap?
Yeah. I will get to him.
Okay, that's fair.
And
I will keep drinking some CLT.
Yeah, it won't take too long before we get to him, though. But in 1910, golf was in its infancy in the U.S., and there wasn't a golf course within 50 miles of Charlotte.
All right.
Until a few men created the Mecklenburg Country Club.
Okay.
They didn't want to confuse themselves with an earlier failed attempt at Charlotte Country Club. so they named it Mecklenburg Country Club.
Fair enough. Seems legit.
I guess they waited a few years and then named it. They waited till 7 years and then changed the name to Charlotte Country Club. So
okay.
Not real sure.
Put some distance and then go with what you originally wanted.
Yeah, in 1910, though, they bought a 219-acre site from W.D. Rock.
All right.
There was a single brick house, red brick house.
It's a brick house?
Yeah.
Took all I could do just not to actually sing that in an obnoxious tone.
So it was a red brick house on the property, and it came to be known as the Rock House. And they turned it into their country club.
All right.
Their
clubhouse.
Yeah, they turned it into their clubhouse.
Any chance that Dwayne Johnson was involved?
I don't believe so. I mean,
I don't think he is quite that old to be involved.
Maybe that's what the D stands for in WD, though. Dwayne.
With that $7 in his pocket. Carry on.
So now we're that fellow you brought up earlier.
Yes.
Fred Laxton was one of the founding members.
All right.
Of the Mecklenburg/Charlotte Country Club.
So we are continuing with the trend that this whole radio station thing was just side hustle for everyone involved from the very conception all the way through.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because this is 1910 and that wasn't until 1920.
Yeah.
So old Fred Laxton was running a country club and
well, all right.
Wasn't using his chicken coop for anything. So.
Well, okay.
Fred Laxton actually designed the first 9 holes of the course. It wasn't until 1915 that they brought in a professional to design. He basically redesigned.
Said, "You suck. I'm gonna do this."
Yeah. He reshaped the first 9 and then added another 9.
Okay.
And his name was Donald Ross.
D. Ross?
Donald Ross is the architect for golf courses in over 31 states and Canada.
All right.
And his most renowned one is Pinehurst No. 2.
See, I'm going to smile and nod like this means anything to me because, I mean, I know very little about golf, and maybe it's another north-south thing, maybe not, but in my neck of the woods, golf is not a thing. And then I moved down here and I was like, whoa, it's a thing.
You just didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
Golf is a thing everywhere.
Not in my circles of growing up, at least.
So, yeah, Pinehurst No. 2. Mm-hmm. It's in Pinehurst.
What?
You know somebody who lives in Pinehurst.
Do I? Where's Pinehurst?
You've been to Thanksgiving there?
Hey!
Yeah.
Okay.
So the golf course.
I know where that is.
So the golf
I've been
course
there.
right there at their house.
Okay.
Is the Pinehurst courses. They
That's
have
cool.
like 1 through 9,
Yikes.
maybe. I don't know if that number's right. But number 2, pretty popular one. They played the U.S. Open there a few times.
Okay.
Kind of a big deal. Donald Ross designed that.
Well, good job, you, sir.
So if you go and play at Charlotte Country Club, famous.
Unless it's a mini golf course. I don't think I'll be playing there anytime soon. Even then, I'm pretty terrible at it.
Another interesting thing about your boy Laxton. Allegedly, a legendary golfer, Gene Sarazen, one of the top golfers in the U.S. in the 1920s and 30s. He's won 7 major titles. So he's one of 5 that's done that. Probably the only name you know is Tiger Woods.
I mean, that's pretty much the only name I know in golf, period.
Yeah.
But
so he's one of those 5.
Unless you want to talk about Happy Gilmore. No? That doesn't count?
I don't think he's won 7 majors.
All right.
Maybe maybe a minor. I think
Okay.
he won a minor.
Cool. He got a golden jacket, man.
Oh, yeah. So maybe it was a major.
All right, carry on.
Anyways, he was known for his interlocking grip. It's like
I was like, yeah, I don't know
like
what that
this
means.
right here.
Oh, okay.
Instead of doing it like that.
All right, so we got a pinky and a forefinger for those non-golf aficionados like myself.
It's been coined the Saracen grip.
All right.
Or interlocking grip, as I know it.
What?
But allegedly, Laxton taught him that.
Hey.
So,
amateur chicken coop radio host and inventor of golfing grips.
Yes.
All right.
Allegedly.
Okay.
What I read says, according to History of Charlotte Country Club, Laxton taught him that.
Okay.
You know.
Who's to say?
Yeah. I mean, they can't tell us he didn't.
It's true.
So they were using the Rock House as their clubhouse, and it didn't last very long. In 1923, they decided to pursue a new clubhouse. And
they said, our radio station's been doing dang good for a year. Yeah. Let's upgrade.
Quite large. Took them 8 years to build.
Wow.
And I believe it's the one that is still there today.
Okay.
And the one that is still there today was 68,000 square feet.
Ooh.
And they remodeled it recently as well. But I didn't find anything that told me that it was not.
Gotcha.
The one that's there today.
Fair enough. We've never claimed to be subject matter experts.
Yeah.
So we'll joke about it all dang day.
We'll tell you what we know.
Yeah. Which, quite frankly, is nothing. But we're rolling with it.
When they opened that clubhouse, 1,000 members showed up.
I mean, that...
to
I don't have any
gala.
Scale, but that seems like a lot.
Yeah. When the country club started, there were only about 30, according to the 1910 census, there were only 34,000 people in Charlotte.
Yikes. Yeah. Okay.
So
that's a lot.
1,000 people show up. I mean,
that's a lot.
That's a big deal.
Okay.
It may have been more by then because that's 20 years later, but
still, yeah.
So it sounds like they had a good time. Mm-hmm. They had an open house and a formal dinner dance.
Oh, how lovely.
Which in 1931 was probably a bit depressing.
All I picture is like Victorian era, like Pride and Prejudice style balls. I don't know why. That's just what I'm envisioning.
Yeah, but in 1931, they probably just had like beans.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I understand.
Salt pork.
Sure.
So, yeah, that's what I got. Golf course is still there.
Cool.
Of course, you can.
And this was the first one in Charlotte, or the first one in North Carolina, or
first one in Charlotte. First one within 50 miles.
Okay.
Like whenever it was built, there was the closest one was over 50 miles away. So.
Cool. Awesome. So Plaza Midwood has brought us quite a lot.
It brought us a lot of firsts.
Yeah, and I mean, it sounds like our boy Laxton here is all up in it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Train and the pros had to hold their, I was going to say their stick. I'm
their
on
club.
A roll. Yes. Train and the pros had to hold their club, building really fancy clubhouses and courses. And then, you know, radios and chicken coops and selling it off to have TV affiliates and all the good things. Mm-hmm. But I guess that's pretty much what we've got today for our episode. Grateful for Plaza Midwood and all the history that is involved in that area and what it has brought to, I mean, even us personally with the ability to have a podcast. And
it's growing still too, Plaza. Yeah. I mean, ask Thirsty Beaver about it.
Accurate. So accurate. They're not a brewery, but we could definitely get some stuff from there and chat about that.
Ask them about how that growth's going.
If they even got any like sunlight coming back into their windows or anything. But so Catawba Brewing, Plaza Midwood, CLT. I forget what kind of an IPA, but
West Coast
IPA.
4 different types of hops.
Tropical flavors.
Yes, not citrus.
No. Really good. It'll drink. I'm a fan. They're really
7.2%.
Yeah. They come up with a lot of good, I guess seasonal is the appropriate term, but they do like a peanut butter and jelly and all kinds of weird things that I've tried it. It does actually taste like it. It's very strange. It's very strange.
I had some kind of barrel aged tequila.
Yeah, that was nuts.
IPA.
I tried that. Yeah, it was very, I mean, yes, it's beer, so it tastes alcohol-y, but it was very like liquor tasting beer. It was very strange. I was impressed.
Yeah, it was like,
I mean, I didn't quite like it per se, but I was impressed.
Barrel aged and some kind of red wine.
Casks, yeah.
And then hit with some tequila-ness somehow. I don't remember.
Professionals, guys. That's what we are. I mean, we're just going right on par with our boy Freddie Laxton.
Yeah.
You know, professional radio hosts. We might as well be sitting in a chicken coop right now.
Yeah. And I'm going to open a golf course.
There you go.
I should at least just go play.
You'll put like a mini golf course.
Yeah.
But so that's what we've got. Leave us some comments over on YouTube about maybe where you'd like to see us get a drink from and talk about next, or comment on any of the things. We are hoping, fingers crossed, that our technical difficulties are primarily behind us and starting to get some of these videos from all of our other chaos back out. If you haven't seen, we put up a bonus episode this past Sunday for the NBA All-Star Game, so check that out. And we'll be back next week.
So subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on the socials at VanGo Creative. Mm-hmm. We might post some behind-the-scenes stuff from time to time about this podcast on there, so check that out. And links in the description below for everywhere we talked about. And we will see y'all next week. Check you later. Bye. Listening to with my headphones on and it real loud yesterday, I could hear myself breathing a lot. Oh yeah. And I was like, I sound like a